everybody, how do you do? How do you do, everybody, how do you do? Oh, you come to gym for fun and we'll get you.
Hi, my name is Marlene and this is the Little Gym at Home. Today is my favorite day. It is Little Gym Day. I'm going to ask you today to really step out of your comfort zone and come on this special journey with me of spinning and rotations. We need to do lots of spinnings and rotations with our little ones as we're trying to stimulate the movement of the inner ear fluid. That movement of the inner ear fluid causes them to feel a little bit dizzy when we spin them around, a little bit like when you go on a swing or on a roller coaster. The reason why we need to do that is for these guys to assess and to figure out whether they are moving or the earth around them is spinning or moving. Please come and join me. We're going to start with a warm-up. Calling all your dancing divas, let's get warmed up. I've got the red mat around me, which has got lots of space for all our spatial orientations, spinning and rotations. You make sure that you move your furniture around so that we have the same kind of space. Right. Music. Thank you. Okay. First activity we're going to do is called a fireman's carry. I want to see how low you can lower your baby over your shoulder. You're going to yank them over like this, hold them by the ankles, and then give them a really lovely upside down experience. We're just going to go for a little walk around your room, just like so. Right, after that upside down experience, we are now going to give them a spinning experience. I want you to hold them like this. We're going to spin around one side, stop, and over to the other side, and stop. We don't want to overstimulate them, so never spin more than 4 times in one direction at the same time. And around. One more. Stop, and one more. And stop. Great. Spinning. Now, time for some upside down again. For this one, we're going to hold our baby like this, and we're going to let them go upside down and have their own little upside down party over here. There we go, and bring them up and give them a cuddle. We look for a few different clues and cues when they go upside down to assess how comfortable they are. If you see that the eyes are rolling back in the socket and the arms is extending above the head like this, then it means they are nice and comfortable. If they don't do it, just do smaller versions, and make sure you give them nice big cuddles when you bring them back up so that they feel nice and safe and secure. But do not stop the upside down, as they need that for their inner ear movement. Right. After we've done the upside down backwards, we are now going to focus on our upside down going forwards. So we're going to see if we can review our front forward rolls, straddle your legs nice and wide, and we're going to pull them through and help them to do a forward roll into a stand. Let's do that one more time. Hold your baby safe and secure around the hips, straddle your legs, pull them nice and far through your legs into a forward roll and up to a stand. There we go. One more, let's go. Ready? And up. That's it. All right. For my last activity today, I would like for us to review our backward rolls. So we're going to lower ourselves down to the floor. We're going to see if we can today lift them by the hips, lift them up and onto their feet. If they don't respond and don't immediately put out the arms when they're upside down, it's absolutely fine. The more you do it, the more the body part awareness will kick in and the more they will realize that they can push up on the arms when you lift the hips up. Just like that. And then to finish it all off, let's do a little bit of jumping. There we go. Are we ready? This is really good for my bilateral coordination. We can start with some small jumps, just like this. Tell them they're landing on their feet every time they come down. And if they feel brave enough and you feel strong enough, feel free to give them a bit of a hop in the air and a hop in the air. There's one more. There we go. Okay, so for this part of our session, we're going to focus a little bit on tummy time. We know that tummy time is a really important part of the baby's development, and the reason for this is because their heads are so big still at this age, and with big heads means that they're heavy. So for them to keep their heads up, the spine needs to get needs to be strong enough to keep their heads up. So a nice way to trick them into tummy time is to let them lie across your legs like so. You can let the arms come down a little bit, and all you're going to do now is just gently lift your knees and lower your knees, and lift your knees and lower your knees. And if you want to make it a little bit more fun for your adrenaline junkie babies, then you can see if you can go up fast and down and up and down. This will surely cause quite a few giggles in the living room for you, just like this. All right, once you've done a few of those, another way to get them onto their tummies and to trick them is to let them come and lie on your shins, just like this. Make sure you hold them nice and secure around their waist, and then you're just going to gently rock back. You're rocking, and they are on their tummies, and you are just rocking. You can keep the eye contact to make sure that it's a nice and nurturing experience for them. And remember, they will look to you to see how to respond in crazy times to make them feel nice and safe and secure. This is a lovely way to trick them into another way of a tummy time exercise. Once we've done the tummy times rocking, I would like for you to progress it to a front whoop-de-doo. We haven't talked about this a lot in our sessions at the little gym at home. So what I want you to do now is get your hands around their bodies like so. You're going to rock backwards slowly. And once you get to the top, see if you're strong enough to spin them all the way over your head. If you don't feel strong enough, you can leave them there and turn around and pick them up. Or if you feel like you still have some arm strength left, you can lift them up, bring them back onto your shins, and you can bring them back into the front whoop-de-doo. You can try to do a little bit of a sequence of skills where you go rock, 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 and front whoop-de-doo, just like that. And then you bring them all the way back. So a nice way to trick them into another version of a tummy time. If you feel even more jazzy, then the next one that I want you to do is to do a little bit of a sequence of skills together. So for this one, we're going to review what we did during our warm-up, a different type of backward roll, where we're going to lift them up in the hips. We want them to extend their arms, to press on the arms and land on their feet. But it's not always the case, because for them to be in a different movement plane and to know where the hands and the feet are is quite a tricky thing for them to understand. So if they're not there yet, it's absolutely fine for you just to lift them through this kind of motion. How we put this all together is going to look a little bit like this. So you're going to have them back on your shins. You're going to rock 1, 2, build up your momentum, flip them over your head, bring them back, and now get yourself up, shoulders up, and then you're going to lie them all the way back down. Are you ready for the party trick? Woohoo! And back up onto their feet, just like that. I hope you enjoy all these tricks at home. I hope you're ready for some more rocking and rolling shenanigans, as we're going to certainly do quite a few more of those today over here. Now, for those of you who come to the little gym, you will recognize that we have this piece of equipment. We call it a hot dog. Don't know why, don't ask me why, but we call it a hot dog. And this is a really lovely tool to get our little ones to rock and roll gently on their tummies in the little gym. The reason why we do lots of rocking and rolling is because it's very calming for their central nervous system. There's a reason why rocking chairs are in nurseries, right? If we're comfortable with rocking and rolling on my tummy, I can even see if we can turn them around and we can do some rocking and rolling on their backs. And this is where you can let them go backwards and then say a peekaboo when they come up to the front so they can see you. Bit of object pertinence, we can say peekaboo, here I am. One more time, just rock them all the way back. Peekaboo. So for those of you who do not have a hot dog at home, obviously you don't, you know what I'm saying, you might have one of these Swiss balls. So these are also perfect to do exactly the same. We do a rocking and a rolling. If you want to turn this into more of a body part awareness exercise while they're going through the movement planes, then make sure that you make mention of their feet. So we are landing on our feet when I come down, and maybe if you stretch out the arms far enough for them, you can say hands when they rock forward. We can go from feet onto my hands, just like that. Now, I can progress this rocking and rolling into some gymnastic tricks. So I can start by rocking forward onto the ball, and this is a really lovely way to force the hips to go above their shoulders for when I want to roll them over. So I can just lift them up and roll them over the ball, just like that. Should we do that one together one more time? So I'm going to let them stand over here. I support them around their waist. I go rocking forwards, rocking back, rocking into my forward roll. Tuck in their heads if you need to. Let them look at their tummies. And there is my rocking forward rolls. Another rocking and rolling trick I can do is my rocking backwards into my back handspring. Again, for this one, you could just use your big Swiss ball that you have at home. A really lovely, clever way to take them out of their normal vertical position through all the different movement planes and to really, really work on that vestibular inner ear movement of the fluid. So for this one, I rock them backwards and I rock them forwards. Now watch what I'm going to do. Just like with a backward roll, I'm going to put my hand across their chest, hold them here on the shoulder girdle, and then I'm just going to flip their feet over for them. And that is a back handspring. Should we do that one more time? I'm going to let my baby lie on the ball. I do a bit of rocking and a bit of rolling. Hand comes in. I use this hand to just flick the legs over so that they finish on their feet. If you do not have one of these rocking rolling balls handy, you could also practice this one just from a chair. I can let them lie on a chair. Anything that's going to help us to get the hips over the shoulders, essentially. Again, I'm going to come in the same kind of spot, and I'm going to lift up the little feet and the legs to spin them over to land on their feet. It's my chair back handspring. There you go. Let's do that one more time together. I can lie them down just like this. Get my hands to go over, hold onto that shoulder girdle, under the hips, lift them up, spin them around, and help them to fall or stand back on their feet. Just like that. For our sensory session today, we're going to use some scarves. You can be using a tea towel or a beach towel, anything that you have at home that you can use to copy what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to leave this like lying here in front of them, stretched out. I'm going to take my baby and wrap them up nicely like a little cocoon so that they feel nice and safe. And then I'm going to give them a bit of a drag all across the floor, just like this, from side to side. And if you feel strong, woohoo, you can even spin them around and go a little bit faster if you want to be a little bit more adventurous. Another fun thing I can do with my scarf is I can work on my depth perception. Depth perception is a sense that only develops by 4 years of age. So you've got 4 years to do as many different varied skills and activities to help them to develop that. Depth perception means I need to understand how far or near objects is away from me. So by using something as silly as a scarf that travels a bit slower through the air, it gives them the opportunity to lock their eyes in on that moving object to help them with the tracking. Just like that. Up and down, up and down. There we go. We talked earlier about tummy time and how to trick them into some tummy time activities. For this one, you can see if you can fold your tea towel or scarf into half and you can lay them over it, just like this. And now, like a little harness, I'm going to just lift them up a little. Some of them will now start to realize if they've been hoisted into the air that they can actually respond by pressing on their upper arms. If they're not there yet, remember, sometimes it takes a few goes for these guys to understand how they need to output to get the desired effect. They might have to just see what happens, feel it, allow for the sensory processing to happen before they understand how they can respond to it in a form of movement. So that's a really lovely activity. Then my other activity I would like to do is for these guys to understand where their bodies finish and where the world starts. What I can do is roll a ball all along the edges of their body parts. So I only have a big ball with me. That's fine. You can use a smaller ball. And all you're going to do is, while they're nicely and relaxed lying on their backs, you just kind of roll the ball so that they can feel how the ball is circling all around their body parts. Remember, they were in your womb for a really long time. They were in fluid. So here, this will make them understand, where does my body finish and where does the rest of the atmosphere starts around my body. So this is a really lovely activity. And then for a bit of proprioceptive fun, you can just give them a bit of a cuddle on their bellies like that with our ball. A bit of a squish, just like so. There you go. I've got one more challenge for these guys and for you today. This activity really helps me, again, with my depth perception, how far and how near are things from me. But this will also help me with my bilateral coordination and the reflexes in my hands that will help me to grip something or hold on to something. And we need that for eating and eventually for writing, right? So for this one, again, get yourself a ball. If the ball is not this large, it doesn't really matter. All we want them to do is to be a little bit higher so that they have to look down onto something. Now what you're going to do is get some colorful objects. Remember, they respond to color really, really well. I'm going to start with my bells. I'm going to put my bells in front of them and I'm going to rock them forward to see the bells and rock them back. Rock them forward to see the bells and rock them back. Today, they might just look at the bells and go back. Tomorrow, they might feel brave enough to reach out with a hand, grab a bell and take it with them. Like I say, sometimes you need to try these activities a few times so that your baby have the opportunity to work out what is required for them in order to output the movement. If you want to be a little bit sneaky, you can add something which is not so easy to pick up, like a cloth. Again, tea towels or scarves works great for this. This will require more hand grippy strength for them to pick this up. So I'm going to do exactly the same, just give them different textures to give them the opportunity to pick up different things. Again, if you see that they're very dominant on the right side, then be a little bit smart and move everything that you want them to pick up to the left-hand side of the body. This will then force them to have to reach with the left side of the body to reach for that object. So this is a really nice way to make sure that we give them a nice little activity that develops depth perception and my bilateral coordination, as well as the reflex in my hands for gripping. That will help me with eating and writing one day. Okay, I have one more rocking and rolling activity for you to do. We're going to sing the Grand Old Duke of York together, that old British cult classic, but we're going to throw in a few moves and a few shapes into this song. This is a really lovely action-packed song, so please sing along with me, follow along all the activities so that this is something that you can do at home once I've left the screen. Right, so we're going to start like this. The Grand Old Duke of York, he had 10,000 men. He marched them up to the top of the hill and he marched them down again. And when they were up, they were up. And when they were down, they were down. And when they were only halfway up, they were neither up nor down. He marched them to the left. He marched them to the right. He even marched them upside down. Oh, wasn't that a sight? Now, if you feel even more jazzy, we're going to do a different version where we're going to finish with a back whoop to do. We're going to sing again. The Grand Old Duke of York, he had 10,000 men. He marched them up to the top of the hill and he marched them down again. And when they were up, they were up. And when they were down, they were down. And when they were only halfway up, they were neither up nor down. He marched them to the left. He marched them to the right. He even marched them upside down. Oh, wasn't that a sight? I've been Marlene, and this has been the Little Gym at Home.
It's time to say